Hi, this is Sue Bergamo, and welcome to Short Takes, where we focus on an innovative CEO. For this week, we have Lonnie McRorey, CEO and co-founder of TeamStation. Let's get started. Hi, Lonnie. It's so good to have you on Short Takes today. It's been way too long since we've seen each other, so either you need to come to Boston or I need to come to Mexico, but either way, it's been way too long since we've seen each other. I wanted to have you here today because you have such an interesting company, and I've watched you grow over the years. But you originally started out with a business model, and then you saw a gap in the industry and did a complete pivot. And that pivot is really interesting to me, and I'm sure others will find it interesting as well. So, as we kick off this short take, I'd like you to start with where you were, where you started from, and where you're ending up today.
First of all, Sue, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, and two, it's great to see you. And of course, uh, we gotta get together, I moved to Guadalajara to be at the epicenter of technology in Mexico, of course, and that's where my artificial intelligence team is. And so, of course, I miss Boston. uh, so, in regards to how we started. I started basically. I was a product manager for many years. I've been in the software industry for over 25 years, and as a product manager, I worked through the ranks and products, and I used different services, IT outsourcing services, nearshoring services, and then after building platforms, I started working for some of these nearshore IT services in Latin America, and I found there was a lot of gaps, a lot of dark areas, a lot of areas that I thought U.S. companies should be, just say, have greater transparency and accountability from a vendor. And I started noticing these things, and I finally, what broke me into this is the final decision after working for the previous company that I worked at. That was the worst experience in my life, even for the clients that we were trying to work with. I just could not fathom working for these type of organizations that are just there to make profit off the business and profit off the talent. And I thought that was, and it's so ingrained into the industry. It's like nothing has changed in 30 years. I mean, you have all these outsourcing vendors, IT outsourcing vendors, especially IT staff augmentation vendors, and it's like because it's a status quo. And so we started as I said, well, I want to do something completely different. I want to do something scientific, where we create a scientific framework for software engineering, certainty, continuity, and predictability. And this is why you start seeing a lot of the space and astronaut themes. It's because we got to take this serious. And as we build technology, we got not only bring the brightest minds into the business objective, but actually look how we're building products that are going to resonate, and they're going to bring return investment the quickest way possible, right? Especially today. And so we started with a service model that I focused heavily on bringing top engineering talent from Mexico, and eventually we kind of expanded to other countries as we got legal representation in each of those countries so we could hire people. These are the people that we hire are direct employees. We don't do any contractors or anything like that. But when we started the business, my co-founder Jesus Romero, he's my CFO, but he ended up learning a lot of things from the recruiting industry that I worked in, especially in the technology side. And so he he picked up a lot of things. He's young, but he's very ambitious and he's very determined and he's driven. And I love that. I love that energy about him. And we kind of clicked. And he came from the same company that kind of burned us. It burned a lot of talent, by the way. And so that brought us together and said, we're going to do something that's completely different. That's going to benefit the client. It's going to benefit the talent. And that was a major driving force in create framework science. And that was the first step. And we started with $0, but we knew exactly what we wanted, how we wanted it. We had a clear vision. We had a clear mission of what we did not want to be. We did not want to be like the rest of this entire industry. And we wanted to basically give the power back to the clients and give the power to the talent. And
And you
that's
and I
what the
have known
interface
each
should be.
other for a long time, so that nearshore model that you had worked really well. And I mean, you and I have known each other, so I was watching your company grow and grow. Talk a little bit about the ATS model because we all know that the model around outsourcing is tough, right? You mentioned, the margins and not
Oh,
doing what's right for the customer, but then the ATS model to find individuals with the right skill set, that's a tough road to hoe as well. So tell me about and tell the audience about what led you to move
well,
from framework science to TeamStation.
oh man, that was an incredible thing that happened by happenstance. It was by accident, but by the sheer necessity. As you start delving deeper into how do you provide greater transparency and accountability to the clients that we were working with, we started working with more clients, and we were using our Google's products, and for us to be able to hire, to detect, and to onboard, and all those things. But then Google Hire was kind of canceled. I was kind of like on the product advisory board at the time. I was kind of guiding them on. They had some questions because I was giving them a lot of feedback, and I got invited, which is great. But then they told me that they were canceling it, and I started looking for other products. I said, well, I want to be able to bring my clients, our entire staff, everybody together, and we can start seeing the entire process, not only from the identification. It's not an applicant tracking system. This is more of a human capital management system on steroids. That we started looking at because we wanted to integrate everything into one system, which is not only the detection and looking at the supply chain, who can align to a business objective faster, who's available, what are the salaries, what are the costs and everything, and completely give that transparency both in the how we analyze and how we validate and how we bring that individual is how they align to the business objective. And also one of the major components that I don't see anybody really doing is focusing heavily on helping the company with the onboarding automation, with onboarding that individual into the organization, whether it be one engineer or whatever technical role, and make it a positive experience. So you also want to retain that talent. So this entire process is just much more than just an applicant tracking system because it's an applicant tracking. This is an entire how do you bring somebody to speed and to review not only the onboarding but post their performance. How do you gauge? How do you say, did we hire the right person? That's what everybody asks themselves today. And that's one of the questions that we're going to answer with artificial intelligence, with actually human-centered AI, is predicting human performance. But just to go back, we I looked at over 18 to 20 products out there. There's none that enables any vendor or any organization to work with another organization and to build teams together. So out of that sheer necessity, out of that, there's nothing out there. And I looked at everything. And at the level that I wanted to, basically with the documentation, with everything connected, there's just no system out there because nobody wants this industry to be completely transparent and accountable. And that's why I was like, okay, we have to build this, and I'm gonna build it our own way. And with the experience that I have, it just enabled it to be a much easier process because I already had the roadmap within weeks. I knew exactly what I wanted. And so the culmination of those things. And then we start tweaking, and this is how we pivoted. So we have to take this entire service model. And when we start building the platform, the clients say, we love this because we don't have to do any more emails or anything like that. And that's when we said, we are going to transform this industry and put it into a platform that it's a self-service, total transparency, and a new standard on how do we align humans to a business objective, and also how do we track their devices and the security and all and on and on and on, including their payroll, their benefits, how much taxes are we paying, and all that. And that is a transformative way, but happened by happenstance.
And that's what I loved about your story is that you took a problem that you were having, and then it was like that aha moment came, and you were like, oh my God, like I can transform the entire HR human capital industry. So that was fascinating to me, and I'm so excited for you, and it's been fun to watch your company grow. We're almost out of time. If you want to tell the audience 1 to 3 takeaways, or like give us some takeaways to know about your company and your offering, what would you say?
One thing is, we have, okay, so someone want to take away says transparency and accountability. We have to make sure that any vendor that we work with in the industry, no matter, uh, whatever the service is, they have to be transparent and accountable. Meaning transparency, I'm talking about, uh, if you're using any kind of service that the individuals working with you, that you can see if they're getting paid, they got their benefits and everything, because there's a lot of there's a lot of exploitation out there, or tendency of exploitation, and accountability, meaning that these individuals are using the devices, or that you're not putting yourself at risk. So that transparency is highly, I'm going to say that's number one key takeaway here. The other one is having realistic expectations when we're working with people outside of the United States. How do we better align that with empathy? And in order to have empathy, you got to have that transparency into the entire process. And I think when we talk about artificial intelligence, everybody now is like, oh, AI, AI. They don't even have an idea what AI is. What we are embarking on is not just a learning language model. We're understanding biases. We're taking bias out of the equation. So it's a long process. So number three, is the human-centered AI development that we're working in is what's the most incredible thing, because we can apply it to any part of the organization. It learns and identifies, gra- through graphs, the relationships. So we're trying to get rid of the resume, get rid of the job description to better align human beings. Basically, evaluating human capacity and align it to the future of business objectives. So it's going to be, those are three major components. I think those are transformative.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. We are out of time. If anyone wants to get a hold of you and learn more about TeamStation, how can they find you?
Sure. Well, you can look me up on LinkedIn. Of course, you can, as soon as you put Lonnie McRorey, I'm going to pop up anywhere. But our website is teamstation.dev. We still have Framer Science as a major HR component behind TeamStation, and that's fwscience.com. And so we can be reached through the website.
Thank you very much. I appreciate having you on the short take today, and it's so good to see you, my friend. We will talk soon. Take care.
Thanks, Sue.